Hello, guys. Hello, I hope you can hear me and see me well. And Philip literally made me laugh when he said Anna is in the building. I felt like Taylor Swift. Thank you so much for that. And I hope you can see me and hear me well. Please confirm that everything is okay. And I was reading to all of your beautiful messages and greetings to Yorkshire, to Helsinki, to so many beautiful places, Brazil, Michigan. And this is really great that people from different corners of the world, North Carolina, I will take a minute to introduce some of us, Wisconsin. And this is really great. North Carolina, Scotland, Western Australia, Switzerland, Anna's army. That is so like Anna's army and Anna's family. Wisconsin, Liverpool, Canada, British Columbia, London diaspora from Ukraine. This is beautiful. Many good people. Finland, Virginia. Russell, thank you so much for sponsorship and greetings to New York Oblast. And the Netherlands, Massachusetts, Denmark, Finland, so many people from Finland and New Zealand and Texas and Germany and Montreal and South Carolina and Norway and Rio de Janeiro. What a beautiful place I would love to visit. And Poland and Mexico and Cape Town. Thank you so much for joining today. And there are a lot of things to discuss. Honestly, we have put down these places where Russia loses its control. And I am very glad to discuss it with people from Alaska and Nebraska and England and Malta and Vancouver and Slovenia. Thank you so much for joining. I am beyond happy to be in the building with our best ever team of troll hunters who will protect our conversations. And I am very grateful to all of you, to Philip, to Martin, to Spencer, and to Rudy, and many good people who are here. So thank you so much for joining. And, it was really difficult for me to keep in mind all of the things happening because thank you so much, Lukasz, and greetings to Czechia, a beautiful country that knows what Russian evil is. And Neil, greetings to you, and remember to do what Neil advises us and to hit like buttons. And also from time to time, I will remind you that we still have running our NEFO Force campaign, and I will remind you about it because we have the best ever patches. They tell two very important messages. Let's make Russia small again, and we can do it. They actually support each other, and we are helping the 67th Brigade. These are amazing guys who help a lot to defeat Russia, who work in Luhansk region in the very dangerous place. And they were defending Ukraine in Serebryantski Lis, and they are actually waiting for the pickup and for drones since September. And believe me, it is quite a long time if you think about how dynamic war is. Well, hopefully the sound will return back to normal. I have a microphone on. Maybe I was just, again, moving my hands and gesturing a bit. Like, guys, when you tell me that the crackling audio, I'm not sure it will help me, like, because I have other restart the audio. AJ and Francois, brother and sister, so happy to see you. Greetings to Germany. And greetings, Yoda. And thank you so much, Bombsheller, for the support. And let's start with, once again, if there are some problems with sound, it may be not to my audio, but because of the internet. You know, from time to time, thank you so much, Duncan. From time to time, we have problems with electricity. This can influence the internet quality, but in general, I think we are doing really well. Thank you so much, Blondie. Thank you. And, since recently there are reports about problems in Russia with internet providers, and they are not able to visit lots of web pages. And one of the reasons for that is because Russia experiences severe inflation. They try to artificially save the ruble, and they are desperately afraid that people will take away money from banks, and that's exactly what people do when they panic. And honestly, they extremely resemble the situation with the Soviet economy. And maybe we will speak about that too. But let's start. Thank you so much, World Peace. Thank you for all the sponsorship that you give. And Rudy tells you, sell all your ruble. And he is right. Listen to his advice. I totally share, and he's definitely an expert. So, the link I will keep sending you, and maybe my team will also help you. Here it is. That is the one to support Force NAFO campaign. And actually, with our incredible community, we have already managed to collect from, the 3 previous campaigns. They were all during this year. And we've gathered drones and 4 pickup trucks, NAFO trucks, that cost $150,000. I know Jake Bro is doing amazing work, and that's like, I have been a fan of his YouTube, but now I have to be a fan of his NAFO fundraising. But our efforts are also very important, and they change a lot. Thank you so much, Matt, and thank you so much, Niels, for the support of this amazing community that changes a lot. So, let's start with these serious troubles for Russia everywhere. And actually today, after our stream, we will have a separate vlog where I speak more about Putin's failed plan to blackmail the world with Oreshnik, which actually led to serious troubles for the Russian ruble. And I even like calling it Oreshnik effect. Maybe the economists of the future will learn it as a separate phenomenon, how a dictator can destroy his own economy with war. Russia and Soviet Union is really good at that. And we have some illustrations in the chat, which is beautiful. But apart from this very serious and very problematic situation with the Russian ruble, Russian banking system, prices, butters, and bananas, they have serious troubles with the regimes. Thank you so much, Rainy Manish. Once again, if I make mistakes, please forgive. And Lukasz, thank you so much. And William, thank you, guys. Yes, Taylor Swift of Ukraine. Thank you so much. Actually, I have I do fitness and I love it. Like, sport is very important in my life. 2 or 3 times a day. Oh, a week, a day, that would be too much. And like she often says that from one point of view, I resemble her, Taylor Swift, but from the other point of view, I have the same problem. Just like, I don't know, she observed perhaps the way people move, and she says, you're moving sometimes like her, like a tyrannosaur. Thank you so much. Aim for my head, please. And congratulations with your first live. Really happy to gather such a community, but let me be serious and return back to serious things that can severely undermine Putin's zone of influence that he hoped existed. Thank you so much, Scott, for buying me coffees. And what happens right now? All eyes on Syria. And I cannot tell you that I'm an expert. 3 times a week, not a day. I cannot tell you that I'm an expert in Syria. I always claim to be a professional Ukrainian, but I do remember those awful things that Putin's regime did to Aleppo, UNESCO heritage, and lots of civilian lives lost. And this is definitely serious war crime. And actually, when we imagine Putin one day in The Hague, we have to keep in mind it will not be just for Ukraine. There are lots of places around the world where his bloody footprint is on, and I think that the list of these crimes will be really long to read. And Syria is definitely one of such countries, and the tragedy of Aleppo resembles every Ukrainian the tragedy of Mariupol, because this is a totally erased city with all the civilian population, with all its beautiful locations, but most importantly, always most importantly, human lives. Thank you so much, Heli. And you know, I remember that when we filmed the documentary that I remind you from time to time about, Big Russian Lies, we spoke about Russian culture as an instrument of propaganda. I know many people hate the idea of like canceling Russian culture because it's bad, but I love that this documentary was focused not on canceling, but on explaining how Russia uses its culture, its literature, films, and sportsmen, and anything they can to spread Russian narratives. And one of the very crazy examples is that first, after the destruction of Aleppo, Russia sent an orchestra to play some pieces on these ruins of Aleppo. And then the very same orchestra played on the ruins of the Mariupol Drama Theater. Tell me it's not insane. Tell me it's not like a performance from hell. And I think that it's extremely important to understand that they keep repeating it in different parts of the world. And the easiest way to avoid it all is to defeat Putin, to defeat millions of those who support him, and to have a very serious and very difficult work with their population, because like they will remain on this planet. Thank you so much, Martin, Cynthia, for coffees and your support. So this is crazy, and the more you think about, the more you realize that if we want to achieve peace and security, lasting peace and security, we need to defeat Russia. No frozen conflicts. Today, I have seen a very beautiful. Meme in Ukrainian. I did not share it, but is like the only way to freeze this conflict effectively is to freeze Putin. And there was a photo of him like in an ice cube. Well, that's the only kind of a frozen conflict that I accept as a Ukrainian. Also, many of you, yes, Mali is a country where actually my parents worked as doctors. In Soviet times, you know that Soviet Union was sending people to spread the influence. My parents were dentists. They were not ideological workers, but it was a part of this general ideology of Soviet Union. And that's why I always follow the news from Mali very attentively. Iman, greetings to you. Happy to see you. And actually, right now, I definitely observe very attentively what is happening in Syria. I don't know much about Syrian rebels, but I know a lot about Assad and the fact that he escaped to Moscow and is now hiding somewhere near the Kremlin in the hotel with his family, begging for the support of the Kremlin goblin. But unfortunately, right now, like actually fortunately, you mean I'm being sarcastic, right now Putin does not have money and does not have power to back him up. And this may actually lead to the collapse of many other plans. Greetings to Istanbul. And yeah, so right now, Assad is trying to get some support, and rebels, or what, I'm not sure if that's the correct way to name them, are getting in control of more and more Syrian territories, returning them back. And also, according to some reports that I've read on X, they got 4 aircraft, perhaps previously owned by the Russian army. And a very important moment that we have to keep in mind is that in all the cases, Russian soldiers quite often flee. This is what we saw in Kursk. Literally, lots of them were escaping. And the ones that Putin believed were the strongest, they loved frightening people with Kadyrov Chechen soldiers. They were actually the first ones to escape. And right now, we can definitely see that they escape really quickly from Syria. They leave the bases, they leave the ammunition, and it is what Russia in reality is. One of the things that I often feel as a mission, and many of you ask me, many of you optimists ask me whether I will vlog after the end of war and Ukrainian victory. Right now, as my mission, I feel the need to explain this part of the world that is not just like limited to Ukraine, but I believe that many of wrong decisions are made by people who still see Russia as a big, dangerous bear, as a rich country, as strong people, when in reality, these are very weak, very suppressed and traumatized people. I know that many of you good people, even those who are neutral and who are very kind, you speak about the need not to hate others, and at the same time you realize that Ukrainians are allowed to to hate Russians for what they are doing to Ukraine on the daily basis. But when I try to, let's say, alienate myself and to become like a neutral observer, which of course is difficult, and I'm not sure is possible 100%. But even then, when I look at this Russian population that I will not call society, I realize they are deeply traumatized by centuries of suppression. They have never tried anything like democracy. They don't have a civil society. They do not unite in groups. When Russia comes, the first thing they do, they forbid people uniting, even if it is a bicycle club or just like, I don't know, people taking care of their yard. This is why they are so much afraid of people uniting in Georgia. And they try to fight against that. So Russia is desperately afraid of the independence of people, and their society has never tried it. All they know is the strong Tsar hand, and that is why they are not strong, really. They are not the one that can change the course of anything, that can be truly dangerous. They have a group of crazy people, all dictators who don't want to leave their position, who realize that with this collapsing economy, totally poor yards, uneducated people, territories that they will never make look normal, they need an explanation for all this BS. And what they find enemies everywhere, on the moon, in the west, in the south. What makes it pathetic that all of their children live there. And one of the best explanations that I have found why you should not be afraid to be nuked by Putin is that all of the children of his friends oligarchs, all of his children, they live in the West. They live on the streets next to you. So definitely Putin is not going to nuke the cities where his children or grandchildren live. So please don't forget about that too. Thank you so much, Trev and Martin, for coffees, and thank you for joining as patrons. And do remember to support our NAFO campaign. Soon we will report from. Very, very honored for our community whenever I'm there. And I always know that it's not me, it's not like just the people who did an amazing job, but it's thousands of you who support Ukraine, understanding that Russians' actions everywhere in the world should definitely be defeated. So right now, unfortunately, Russian propaganda machine works very well. Even if you look on YouTube, you will find lots of Russian or pro-Russian vloggers who have millions of subscribers. But we already have 250,000 and all natural and not on Russian propaganda. But anyway, they are working hard to distort their reality and to keep you believing, I mean, not you, you're smart people, but I mean those who did not pay much attention to this part of the world, to keep believing that Russia is strong and invincible, when we literally see that a big part of it is on fire. Also, for decades, Russia inherited from the Soviet Union the so-called zone of influence, something that I totally detest, because Like if you are an independent country, even a small country, and I know there are more people, more viewers from smaller countries, you understand that like you have your culture, you have your people, you have your lifestyle, and we have international laws and agreements that long ago, after the Second World War, identified the borders of the states, and we need to respect them. Because once again, if we will keep looking at like literally every country can find some problems in the past and start like rebuilding, moving borders, and what we will have, just like a global war and intergalaxy war. So obviously at the certain period of time we've agreed on the borders that we will respect, and this is what helped us survive for decades. And see this Russia style, Soviet Union style, China style countries, they speak about their zones of influence, and I hate it. It's just like you have a richer neighbor and he tells you how to live, what kind to paint your walls, because like what kind of milk to buy in your supermarket because he's richer than you and he's smarter than you, or what. So this total idea of zone of influence, of course, is BS. But Russia had a lot of countries that it supported militarily, financially, and typically this is not the support of the country, let's be realistic. It is the support of that country's dictator. And like in the case with Assad, that's what they do. In Ukraine, we had a similar period when they were paying lots of money supporting pro-Russian parties. You have to realize it happens often. Hello, Pat. It happens really often when they start bringing lots of bloody, dirty Russian money to specific parties. Thank you so much, Dan. They also helped buying TV channels. For example, a lot of Ukrainian TV channels belong to Medvedchuk. I don't ask you to remember the name of this man, but he was like Putin was the godfather of his daughter. So please understand, like just before the revolution of dignity in 2014, 80% of Ukrainian TV channels belonged to the person whose daughter's godfather was Putin. Can you imagine what kind of information we could receive via such channels? So first of all, they were buying channels, newspapers, like media empires, something that we observe right now with X. I'm sorry. It's not about Trump, it's not about Republicans, but I don't like the way Musk behaves. Some will tell you like he supports Ukraine, don't speak bad about him, but Pentagon and Ukraine pay money for Starlink. It's not his personal behavior, and I honestly think that soon Trump will be irritated with his constant presence around him. Thank you so much, William, for buying me coffee. So we had a very problematic period with Russia-dominant TV channels and media, and of course, lots of parties. Why did Russia need it? Well, there are lots of things you can get out of Ukraine. There are lots of things that you want these people to vote for. And they were giving money to various very unpleasant, typically unpleasant politicians, backing them up. This is how they survived in Belarus, by silently annexing the country and supporting, no, not the people of Belarus, not their security, economy, or what else, but supporting Lukashenko. Why do you think they actually have like Lukashenko needs to give territory? Thank you so much, Margaret, for the sponsorship for the community. This means a lot to all of us. So Lukashenko is totally dependent on Putin. The moment Putin disappears, Lukashenko disappears, and Kadyrov disappears from Chechnya. I know many are afraid that if Russia collapses, Kadyrov will control nuclear weapons. Oh no, no, people, it will disappear together with Putin just in a second, in a blink of an eye. And right now we see that for a decade, Putin supported the regime of Assad. It was obvious, it's pure evil, classical dictatorship. And now, don't you think it is actually a sign that Russia ran out of money? The fact that Assad lost control, and not just lost control, he escaped to Moscow. This is big. I saw a lot of memes yesterday saying that comparing to the behavior of Zelensky. Like, you remember his favorite phrase, I don't need a ride, I need an ammo, like an ammunition. And then we had a problem with uh, something totally different behavior of Assad when he said, like, I don't need ammunition, I need a ride. And it is big, and let's not forget about that. Right now we have this hysterical Syrian dictator somewhere in Moscow, perhaps demanding Putin's reaction and support. Thank you, Roman, for buying me coffee. And he is there with his family, right, Duncan? You are right. He's in the Four Seasons Hotel. Yeah, so we even know the location. But okay, yeah, I'm sorry if there are some sound and video issues, but I vlog from a country at war, so it may happen. And actually, yes, right, Michael, thank you for reminding that Russian air base and naval base may fall, and actually lots of bases have already fell. And now the rebels control 4 Russian aircraft. So then we have, thank you for reminding me about Mali. Thank you so much, Joshua. We have a lot of people, Tuareg people fighting against Wagner group in Mali. And then I have a beautiful question. What were these Russian Wagner group soldiers doing in Mali? By the way, it's interesting to me. Do you have your own versions? What they might have been doing there? Thank you so much, Voxpedia. AJ loves caps lock, and we love AJ. So it is extremely important to understand that they were not taking care of people of Mali. People of Mali are independent. They can live their own life. They had long colonial past. They can actually enjoy independence. But here we have private Russian armies, which actually fulfill the tasks of Putin. They simply have this private name to make it more legal for them to travel the world and cause the troubles. And what they do in Mali? Yes, gold mines and various natural resources. They simply not control, they steal the minerals. They suck money out of this country that definitely needs it for themselves. They have lots of problems with healthcare system. I remember since my parents being there, they have a lot of things to do. And these evil Russian mercenaries, they come to control money flows and use them in various parts of the world to kill various people. And I am sorry. Yes, they are exploiting natives, and this is bad. And actually, I think it is super, super bad that some people who describe themselves as conservatives, who somehow crazily believe that Russia stands for these values, do not notice how Russia actually uses various countries, various nations disrespectfully, trying to recreate this imperial world order that we actually were fighting against, the one that was condemned in many countries that had this imperial past. Because let's be honest, there were lots of empires, there were lots of problems, but people left it all in the 19th or in the 20th century. And Russia monstrously survived until the 21st, and what we experience now is its agony. So let's try. I thought it would be useful for me and for you together with me, and especially in the conversations with others, first of all, to have a look that despite this total BS that Russia tries to say, that it was a NATO provocation or it was afraid of, let's like seriously look whether any countries that tried to attack Russia during these years, let's say during the years of its independence since 1991, there was nothing like that. And Russia was constantly attacking others, starting with Chechnya. In the 90s, at the beginning of the 90s, they lost war in Chechnya. They lost it. But then Putin decided to organize terrorist acts in Russia. He did that, and there are Russian spies and FSB agents reporting about that, and killed in the UK for that, because Russia prosecutes people. And after that, Putin began a new Chechen war, which they did not win, but they actually killed too many people to dominate that part of the world. And it was difficult to speak about anything, because it was before the times of active use of internet. It was Chechnya is far away. It's literally very much hidden by Russia, and it's a tragedy of their people. And Kadyrov is a totally artificial person. So then Georgia, Russia first attacked Georgia in 2008. Russia support its totally pro-Russian, and it is a special military operation Abkhazia and South Ossetia. They are totally artificial quasi-republics, and Russia was simply sponsoring them to spoil life of people in Georgia, to make these countries not good for NATO, not good for European Union, and causing troubles. In Moldova, we have Transnistria, which is another quasi-republic definitely backed by Russia. So what Russia did during these years of after the collapse of the Soviet Union, it was trying to put various conflicts in different corners of the former Soviet Union or the countries that belong to the East Bloc, and to cause troubles there. But it also continued various warfares in your countries. Right now, I'm sure people of Denmark had serious troubles with mobile connections and internet, and we don't know. It may be that Russia is behind that. Why? Because obviously a Chinese ship with a Russian person on that was close to the destroyed internet underwater cables. No, it's not a coincidence. No, it's not something like it is definitely their hybrid warfare. And yes, you're right. There are many reports about violations of human rights uh, wherever Russia is at war. It does not respect any rules of war. Right now, they don't take Ukrainian prisoners of war; they execute them. Like, that's a new rule, because they don't want Ukraine to have the army, and that's what they do. And there are lots of recordings, heartbreaking recordings, and people say, "Let's negotiate." Can you negotiate with people who do that to you, who came to kill you as a nation? Thank you so much, Korpen, for your support, and Razom do Перемоги. This is indeed very important. And thank you so much, Tony. So, yeah, I like it. I will repeat, nail Russia, human rights, ha ha ha. Unfortunately, it's true. So we have problems with cables in the Baltic Sea. We have problems with immigrants, because Russia were also backing lots of things. And 2 million Syrian refugees that came to the European Union are the result of what? Of Russia backing up Assad. And honestly, when I see those who want to appease Putin, when I see people who still believe that by talking with the author of so many crimes, with a person who knows how to interfere in your politics, who knows how to, like, I don't know, cut the cables underwater, who terrorizes, threatens with Oreshnik and whatnot, how do you believe that we can negotiate with them anything like and achieve success? And I think it would be much easier much cheaper to simply defeat this evil and forget about it. It's super important, because if you look at, like, I hate it when many think they can discuss the future of Ukraine without Ukraine. I think we have demonstrated our bravery, and to a great extent, we are a nation that not provokes but prevents the Third World War, because Putin, Kim Jong-un, and Xi actually already fight in the Third World War. And honestly, greetings to Stockholm. Honestly, there is a very beautiful article by Timothy Snyder where he speaks about the Ukrainian nation as a nation of people who stand against, Martin, we love you, you know that, actually standing against, like, we have to support Ukraine as people who stand against the spread of the Third World War, and not to think whether we should back Ukrainians up or not. Guys, North Korean soldiers in Europe, China supplying Russia with weapons, Iran giving drones to kill Ukrainians. There are lots of things they want from, like, they speak about Taiwan, they speak about Greenland, they speak about the Philippines. They are trying to provoke a global shift in a very bad direction. And today, like, we have to realize that if you ask, like, I know, first, I often repeat that, but I don't like when politicians or opinion leaders who have never been in Ukraine since the start of the full-scale invasion start describing Ukraine, or like it is destroyed, or let's not speak about something like there is nothing we can do. Unfortunately, no people left. Come on. Lots of people left, cities live, schools work, hospitals work. We are fighting for the survival, but we are good at that. And believe me, you do want Ukraine to be in its 1991 borders. You don't want Russia to come to Poland and then from Poland to move to Germany, because not that long ago, half of Germany was Russia, because Soviet Union was Russia. And if you ask those nations who border Russia but love democracy and stand for democracy, if you ask the majority of these countries, you will clearly realize that they will, like, tell you, no, Russia must be defeated. I know that, like, a lot of people from Brazil fight for Ukraine in the International Legion. But when, let's say, a president says, oh, let's not support Ukraine, nothing to support. Have you been to Ukraine? Do you know what that is? But if we ask, for example, the government of Finland or Czechia, people will definitely tell you we have to defeat Russia because it's evil. And that's what we see right now in Georgia. Tell me, please, it's really interesting. Do we have anyone here on the channel who is in Georgia right now? Joe Rogan, yeah, but I've seen Ukrainian champion, world champion, boxing champion Klitschko inviting him for a conversation, and that would actually be very just if a Ukrainian, let's not be like a Ukrainian president, but a Ukrainian boxer, a superstar, could participate in a conversation and also present the Ukrainian point of view. That would actually help a lot. So thank you so much, Paul, for buying me coffees. And do we have someone like from Georgia? But I also know that people in Georgia are busy right now because they protect their European choice. They protect their freedom and democracy. Well, do you want to speak a little bit about Georgia and what actually happened there? I'm sorry if it's crackling, but yeah, it's not the microphone. I want to thank Philip, who worked really hard to set my volume properly. So if there is some cracking, it's not because of the microphone, it's because of the connection. So you know that Georgia was a country attacked by Russia in 2008. And I personally think that this attack on Georgia, Russian invasion of Georgia, and very weak reaction of the West, NATO countries, European Union, the United States, was a super green light for Putin that he can continue. Because that was perhaps one of the very first times when in the 21st century, the internationally recognized borders were violated and nothing really bad happened to the aggressor. And you know that people in Georgia, they don't want to go back to the Soviet Union. They don't want to be a part of the dying empire, totally chauvinistic to Ruski Mir. And they were fighting against that. They were going out on protests and they were protecting this movement away from Moscow. And then, if the military way fails, Russia starts fueling lots of money into the country via different people, via different political parties. Russia becomes the top sponsor of everything. Sometimes they may be like not doing it directly and not even speaking directly about Russia connections, but hiding it. And this is, thank you so much for the support of the channel. It's really important for me and your support and community. And remember to support the NEFU campaign. It is a very, very important because it actually gives drones that help us to demilitarize Russia. And Russia's demilitarization is the way to defeat them and also protect the world from this craziness. So they start paying and they start backing up various parties. And right now, the leader of this pro-Russian Georgian party, Georgian Dream, is the richest person in Georgia, is the oligarch. And I can tell you, whenever the oligarch is the leader of the party, it is always a very, very bad sign. And like 99%, it is Russia connected. So please be very much afraid of super poor, super rich people who get in control of the country. It is never clean and transparent. And this is what happened in Georgia. Ivanishvili was a totally created by Russia person who developed the Georgian dream. And with Russian money and his money, of course, to get the benefits that he wants. And they do not need the European Union or anything else. Why? Because control comes with that. And ending against that, like every oligarch is very much afraid of transparency, or at least like any attention to the funds, any control over money, and so on. Greetings to Amsterdam. So it is very, very, very dangerous when Russia starts financing something. And that's what we observed in Moldova. That is what we observe in Romania. And they actually speak about the need to count the votes again, because surprisingly, winner is one of the winners is the pro-Russian, previously unknown person. So with a lot of money, unfortunately, there are ways to hijack people's brains, especially those who are not very... Thank you so much, Serkan. Teşekkür ederim, if I'm right. And thank you so much, Pat and Paul and Paczynski, if I'm right, because I'm sorry if I'm making a mistake. And so then this pro-Russian parties get into the government and they start voting for the laws that goes against the people's will. Simultaneously, they start controlling systems like police, like Berkut, it was in Ukraine during the Revolution of Dignity, and they start acting against people. And what we see right now on the streets of Georgia is violence, and violence not on the side of peaceful protesters who don't want the anti-constitutional coup, because guys, movement of Georgia in the direction of the European Union, thank you so much, Serkan. Movement of Georgia in the direction of the European Union is very right, and it was mentioned in laws and in constitution. And when they actually want to freeze these steps until 2028, and another very worrisome symptom is that they want to forbid any work of NGOs supported from the European Union or the United States, because they claim all of them as foreign agents. And you know, they have a similar law of foreign agents in Russia. Why is it bad? Because in Russia, like in closed societies where oligarchs own the media, journalists, for example, they cannot work. Whenever they start investigating something and writing it in the newspapers, they get fired, or they will have serious problems, or they can be beaten or killed, as in Russia. It happens all the time. So the only way for such journalists who want actually to uncover some of the plots and illustrate corruption, for example, is to get money from such programs and to work on the democratization of society. And that is why Russia, Georgia, Belarus, they deny people this opportunity, because they don't want it. You know, I often want to read some polls from Russia. It's interesting for me to know what these people hate, what these people are afraid of. That's important. But I know I cannot get any serious poll or survey from Russia, because they are not working there. There are no people who will get money from the state to know the truth. All the state wants is propaganda, fake numbers, fake graphs that they will illustrate, telling you that, for example, like Russian ruble is stronger than ever. And what we observe is that we desperately need NGOs. Okay, I'm a head of an NGO in Ukraine that works with cultural heritage preservation and protection. It does not have any political background. It cannot be used, in any political way. But what we do, we work much quicker in the translation and introduction of the EU standards for digitization of cultural heritage. And thus, we make the digitized objects of cultural objects in Ukraine accessible for the wide audience of the EU. We can upload them on Europeana, for example, which is similar to Wikipedia, but for cultural heritage objects. And this is how well we work. So it's not political, but it may be political. Why? Because you give access to Ukrainian cultural heritage to a wide European and global audience, because you make similar standards for EU organizations and Ukrainian organizations, and you can actually work together and they become one big community. And this is why Russia forbids these things. This is why they hate it. They block people because they develop contacts. You know, if they knew more people in France, if they knew more people in Georgia, if they knew more people in England, they might have been kinder. That is why I love that Ukraine participated in Erasmus exchange programs, that our students could see more and travel more. And this is very important. Thank you so much, Stephen, for your support. It means a lot to me. Thank you. So there are lots of things how these instruments work, and they are not anti-governmental. They are not meant to, change the order in the country. They are not to support the coup. They are to do something where government is too slow, or where government is not that interested or even does not have enough money, and NGOs come and do something. They do surveys, they introduce people to active electronic democracy, they help people digitize, they work with veterans, and they forbid it in Georgia for 4 years. And I have a lot of friends who work in the NGO sector in Georgia, and I realize that for them, it's like a death sentence. And there are many things that come together with it. You know, on X, on Blue Sky, on Threads, you can find me everywhere. And I'm actually happy that our community is growing there. And yeah, I will quote Martin, who says that NGOs work into two directions. They use to build cultural bridges and a better understanding between the nations involved. Exactly. And that's what is needed in a healthy society, in a healthy world. And that is what Russia fears. You know, guys, I wanted to tell you, and I'm happy that I did not forget about that, because, you know, those who come to live, they are the heart of our community. Okay, I don't know, let me know if you have something similar, but we have like apartment, like the majority of Ukrainians, they live in apartment buildings, not in the houses. I know that in the US more people live in the houses. We do have houses and like small villages. Thank you so much, Pete. But the majority of people in the cities, they live in apartment buildings. And these apartment buildings are typically starting from 5 stories and up to like 20, 25 in Kyiv. But for example, in my native city, Lutsk, thank you so much, the review. In my native city, like the average apartment building house is 9 stories. And you will have like 120 flats in it, or I don't know. And all of these people, they often unite in groups. Well, like all of your house, you will have one chat on WhatsApp or Telegram where all of the neighbors will be present. And from time to time, you can get like messages. You can collect money. For example, you want to, I don't know, make your porch warmer. So all people collect money. They don't expect the country will give it, but we have lower taxes in Ukraine, you know, so people start doing it. Or for example, you want flowers and a bench in your yard. So people will put like $5 all of the house, and they also speak about like electricity shortages and everything in that chat. And actually during the occupation period, some of these chats saved human lives, because in Bucha, in Irpin, people informed each other about snipers, people informed each other about Russian tanks. That's insane. Actually, in the book that I finished, I just speak about these chats and how they changed a lot for people, because, you know, I try to provide that human perspective of war. Thank you so much, John Silver, and hi, Mark. So there are such chats, and people typically like quarrel there, because, you know, neighbors always quarrel, but they quarrel about some minor things, like your children were running loud, or you did not turn out electricity in the porch, or something like that. And in Belarus, they had the same. And they forbid this apartment building chats in Belarus. Thank you so much, Arms. They forbid these chats because they consider that this is dangerous. People can unite. I have this like update that Jake Bro has posted something, like it shows off on my screen, and I want to quote Jake because he's great, and he says, Russia can only win if you believe their lies. Thank you so much, Duncan. Cheers to you. Thank you. I haven't finished, but I'm finishing. So Russia can only win if you believe their lies. This is totally true, because otherwise it collapses. Thank you so much, Duncan. So many good people got the support. Thank you. So they forbid such chats, which are not political. Believe me, these are crazy neighbors chats where people congratulate each other with Christmas, decide whether the dogs can be walked in that part of the garden and something like that. So this is insane. And I'm actually happy that despite all of that, we see Russia losing grasp in Georgia, in Moldova. I am sure Romania will protect its choice. And now Assad hysterically hiding in Moscow and many other things. But perhaps I would like to finish this stream with the Russian economy and Russian bank collapse, because these trolls from time to time come to me and start saying, what about Ukrainian economy? And I can tell you honestly, Ukrainian economy, despite constant Russian attacks and destruction of our infrastructure, is in a better position. And Ukrainian hryvnia is our currency. Thank you so much, Dan. And it is stronger than Russian. It is stronger than Russian ruble. Guys, it is an illustration. And recently I was thinking about this banana prices, because lack of bananas, they are expensive and they are good Christmas, New Year presents, is my very early childhood memories. And since then, I like eating green bananas because that's how we bought them at the end of the Soviet Union. And also long queues for butter. And when I read the updates from Russia, where people lack butter and actually start stealing butter, it reminds me of this last years of the Soviet Union. It is definitely a sign of the agony. And if oil prices drop, Russia is dead. And as a peace-loving Ukrainian, I can actually pray for this cheaper oil, at least for a certain time of. Oh, thank you so much. Aim for my head, please. That's so much. Thank you so much for being a strong member of the community and supporting us. Yes, hryvnia is almost 3 times stronger. And keep in mind, it's Ukraine that is under constant attacks. It's Ukraine that had to mobilize so many people, and it's Ukraine that has the destruction of infrastructure, like blocked, destroyed plants and factories. It's not Russia, and they have so many problems, and they actually forbid people, like they don't want to trade dollar anymore. And I am sure soon they will freeze people's ability to take away money from the banks, and this will definitely lead to the collapse of the economy. And actually, in our Discord community, we have a quiz where you can put bets. All the, like, I don't want to mess up with the instructions, you will find them there, but the person who gives the closest guess gets the present from our merch shop. And in our merch shop we still have Black Friday, and you can get lots of items that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine, and also work well as a Christmas present. So do check the merch shop, and please support NEFO. I am so honored and I'm so proud whenever we can provide drones to the front lines, because then when we report our favorite Russian geography lessons, when we talk about the destructions of legitimate military objects there, I feel it is a part of our results, and I feel then very proud that this actually we help Ukrainian armed forces destroy these evil targets. And this is very important to keep in mind, that repeating this quote of Jake that I have just read, stop believing. I know you don't believe, but I mean, persuade those around you who doubt. Stop believing that Russia is big and Russia is strong. Russia brought war on its own territory, settlements under the Ukrainian control in Kursk, 10 Russian regions under constant attack, their military objects, but explosions, fires, air raid alerts, thousands people left areas that are close to military bases because they don't feel safe there. Russia switched its economy into war direction. Oh, thank you so much, Carlos. Thank you so much for the support and the strengthening of our community. Thank you. And, it's amazing that we clearly see that, Russia is all fake. They can report any numbers they want, but we clearly see how quickly the ruble falls. They will try to hide it by not selling it on the market, but come on, there are other symptoms. Thank you so much, Joe, for buying me coffee. There are other symptoms that illustrate that. We need butter shortage. More and more people in Russia cannot afford the things they could. They have huge interest rates, and I'm sure in December, at the beginning of December, we will see the key interest rates rising. They're 21 already, and soon they will become 23 or 25. Actually, can be the highest on the planet, and Russia will keep lying that they are a strong country. But please don't believe it. Thank you so much, Niels. Thank you. And also we see how these regimes that were supporting Russia are slowly collapsing. We see quite often protests in Dagestan. We see troubles between Chechnya and Dagestan. We see Abkhazia rising against Russians who want to have some specific rules for their resorts and so on. And locals realize that Russia is not about helping, but Russia about taking away everything. They failed to hijack elections in Moldova. They are failing in Africa with Wagner soldiers being erased. They have troubles in Syria and they don't have money, soldiers to back up Assad as he begs. So, isn't that an illustration that Russia is collapsing? I am sure, once again, that this Syria are closely connected, that Putin runs out of resources. Thank you so much, Peter, for your continued support and friendship. And thank you, someone, for buying me coffees. So, actually, I know that some people were sending me videos of econ lessons or something. This is, and actually Philip did once. It's an interesting guy who speaks about economy, and in one of his recent videos he was saying that if Russians stopped buying things for at least like a couple of days, they could crash Russian economy. And I think that would be very possible. Unfortunately, Russians are not fighters. They are not looking for the ways to change anything because they do not believe anything can be changed. And this is crazy. Thank you so much, Tony, for your support. And this is crazy that people keep believing this Cold War narratives, not seeing that during this decade of Russia's independence, even before the start of the war, Philip says that his name is Mark Bernhard. Yeah. And there are lots of interesting things that he shares. And there are symptoms of the collapse of the Russian economy. And actually, I don't remember where I was reading that, but it actually stated that it seems to me that ruble is the one that, like, among top 5 currencies in the world that devalued in this year. And they were trying to save this inflation artificially, which is more than 8%, and they failed. And they say everything goes according to the plan. Once again, Ukrainians did not start this war. Ukrainians did not choose this war. Thank you so much, Miko. We don't have a choice. We fight for our people, for our territories. We defend ourselves. And Russians chose this war, supported this war, and now eat it. And I personally will celebrate the day when ruble reaches like 200 per dollar or something. This is actually a very pathetic fake. And once again, thank you so much, Lean, and thank you so much, Rudy. And this is insane that so many people still believe something, that they still leave comments about like strong Russia, strong Putin. Look at his, and you've taught me, Botox face. Botox face. Thank you so much, Marcus. Actually, soon we will have a video in our Russian Paradox series about Putin's appearance insecurities and what they actually tell about his, like, it's definitely fear and insecurity. Thank you so much, Yoda. You know you're a friend, and I love your wisdom, advice, and your continued support. And thank you so much, Run Forest. And I'm so happy that there are so many names that I know, and even if I don't say it, it may be that you've changed something in my head already, or some of the videos were dedicated to you, because I learn a lot from you. And this is actually something that differs. The majority of us freedom-loving people, we change our opinions, we change, we learn, we develop. And Russians, they keep repeating their mantras from the past. They don't want to learn, they don't want to change, and they want to drag the world into the past, into the Stone Age. You know, I had this interview with the Ukrainian historian that you can find on the channel, the author of the Brief Course of Ukrainian History, Pali, where he actually states that Russia went like the territories that became Russia. Yes, Russia is a paper tiger, Steve, that's right. Greetings to Italy. And the thing is that they went out of Stone Age later than the majority of Europe. And I honestly think that they are still in the Stone Age, because they behave like people from that time. They do not create, they do not innovate, they simply loot, rape, and steal. So I am sure, like, you know, that this week was very dynamic, and I'm sure that more things to come. And I hope that people of Georgia will defend their choice, will protect their future in the democratic European way, and that European Parliament and European Commission will support new elections in Georgia with total defeat of Russia special political operation there. Also, I invite you to follow me on X. I still fight there, but our community on Blue Sky is growing. I don't know if it's not difficult to you guys. Could you please share the links? Because I'm always like lazy, like actually not lazy, but too puzzled to spread them. You can find the links in the description of all of these videos that I share, and also I'm active on Instagram. You may find me there. And yeah, Michael says, Linky, Linky. Thank you so much. And I'm really proud that our Blue Skies community is growing. And with social media, we clearly see that we can change a lot. Let's make it like a real question and answer. Maybe I will, let me answer 3 questions briefly. What would you like to know? Something like quickly on the topic, I'd be happy to clarify things. Yeah, I'm not lazy. Thank you, Francois. As a brother, you have to protect a sister. Okay. I see a lot of good t-shirts ideas. I will look through the comments. You know that I do that. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you. That's a lot, and thank you for your help and support. So, how's the power situation there, if I can say? Well, like you see, I have electricity, and I did not turn it, like I did not have blackouts. When I was in Kyiv, the blackouts were more serious, but, you know, I don't know, it would be interesting for you to see, maybe, like on our Ukrainian telephones, we have like apps, and here I have Digital Kyiv, and when I open it, I will not share you the some information, but it provides you updates that the electricity is coming back. When will it be off? Let me show you how it looks. For example, just a second, because I need to find it. No, this one. I will close the street. So, not this way. I don't know if you can see. And this is the schedule of the electricity outages, and you can see that, for example, today these black rectangulars are the times when you don't have it. It is Kyiv Цифровий, digital Kyiv, and it actually informs you about everything. And once again, I also speak about that in the book because I believe these details matter. And if you're interested in this survival mode, and unfortunately with Russia on the planet, we might need it. So it beautifully says, the light is coming back to your home. You receive a message like that. So typically 30 minutes before the electricity out, they will say that soon you will have electricity out. And then yes, food and water supply is adequate even on the front line, so you don't have to worry about that. And so the closer to the front lines, the more problems people have with electricity, and also in Kyiv, because Kyiv consumes an insane amount of electricity. It has an underground, what we don't have. For example, in Lutsk, it was targeted, by the way, this week, but they kind of seriously failed. They targeted our electricity system. And it's obvious we are not an important military or political center, so they simply terrorize civilians during the winter and in the dark. But what they did is, in Kyiv, they need a lot of electricity for lots of things. That's why they have more shortages, because just imagine how much you need for one train to run in the underground. In Lutsk, we don't have that. So right now, shortages here, in my part of the city, there were no, but I'm sure next week it may come. They typically make rotations so that people have it, but you are warned, and it's not all the day round, so it may be 2-3 hours. But that's in my part. And I know that I owe you a video about the echo flow that I have, and I will do. I had a tour inside Lutz Castle somewhere in the alley vlogs, but maybe I should do a more professional one. So that would be interesting. It's so difficult to say who is my favorite Ukrainian creator. I definitely know that I have a lot. And for example, about one of my favorite authors and writers, I actually tell in the documentary Big Russian Lies. This is the second series about about Russian literature and propaganda. You can find it in the community tab. I've shared that link. Thank you so much, Yoda. I love to be a secret weapon. Not very secret right now, but thank you so much. So there are lots of creators. I actually promised myself that from time to time I have to leave you links on Ukrainian songs or other stuff, and I forget about that because I get too excited collecting information and I forget about that. But I have this on my mind. Remind me. I think that North Korea will keep sending soldiers. I do think. I'm not sure 100 but I think it will happen. Of course, it affects the war because they use these people as cannon fodder. They they are not professional, but it supports their offensive for a week or two. They simply use these people as resources. I consider that Kim Jong-un sells them for death. But of course, they are killing Ukrainians, they are moving, they are fighting, even if it's for a week. And it is a very dangerous precedent because honestly, it's official that right now Ukraine fights against 2, if not more, nuclear countries. Yeah, EcoFlow is a must in Ukraine, and the majority Yeah, I have a fireplace. I do. Where I can burn wood and other. You meant my castle? I thought you mean Lutz castle, or you named my flat as a castle. It's not that. Um, that is not a very narrow room. It's just like an optical illusion. It's quite big, but it looks like that. I'm in a bunker, just like Putin. What do you mean by a book club? But I like the idea. Why not? Irina Bilik, yeah, she's a nice singer. She had her issues, but so maybe one more question. I will let you enjoy Saturday evening. Yeah, Budapest Memorandum. But I know that many people don't like reminded about Budapest Memorandum, which is not very like honest, but thank you so much, Rune Alnervik. I hope I read your name correctly. And actually, I'm so happy to discover more about you. And thank you so much, Bob, all these locations and all your names. And it's actually amazing. You know, when I've named my channel Anna from Ukraine, I did not think long because it was at the beginning of the invasion and it was not, I did not plan like something big out of it. And now we have this amazing 250,000 community. And I thought like it was a very quick decision. And right now I realize this is a very important kind of name and identity. And I love it when you name and introduce yourself, like saying Eric from Norway or Mike from Canada, and it actually tells a lot about you. Thank you so much, Gary. Thank you. I know you're a friend and I'm very grateful to recognize your names and know more about you. Thank you, Pat. Yeah, I think it's a perfect name right now. I think I will record a separate video about Ambassador Kellogg because I've received a number of questions. I cannot. Greetings, Charles from Kenya. This is so nice. I know you live in a very beautiful country. I would love to visit it one day. And Dwayne from the USA. So I think I will record a separate video about Kellogg, who's going to be a special representative. There are some good things. There are some anxious things, but he is a Cold War, like, I don't know if you can say veteran, but definitely a person who knows what Russia is. I watched a number of his videos where he actually speaks about the need of Ukraine to be able to defend itself. I hope I hope he will not trust Russia and he will somehow influence the president-elect Trump. I don't like the idea of the frozen conflict. Thank you so much, Chris. And you remember, I do have hot water. You remember that he's like the only frozen conflict, like the only way to freeze this conflict that I accept is to freeze Putin in a huge ice cube. And I don't know, throw it somewhere in the Arctic. That would be actually a great way to make this world a safer place. Remember to support our NEFO campaign. It is super important, and sometime soon we will back up Ukrainian soldiers of the 67th Brigade, thanks to 69th Sniffing Brigade, and they will demilitarize Russia, because honestly, this is the best way to do it. So let's stay united during the next week, watching how Putin has more and more problems, how Russian economy keeps falling, and how Ukraine keeps defending itself and all the democracy and freedom-loving world. And also remember to check my next vlog that will come out in an hour or so, where I speak about a very interesting analysis that I've read in the Institute for the Study of War, that describes that Putin's Oreshnik blackmail totally failed. And Ukraine continues to effectively use long-range ballistic missiles. And greetings to Egypt. And defeat Russia, because that's the only way to return peace and normality on this planet, and to teach other authoritarian regimes who are closely watching. If Russia succeeds, there will be a kaleidoscope of troubles. It is already happening. But what is good? Russia is losing the grip, and we see that in Syria, we see that in Georgia, in Moldova. I'm sure Romania will protect itself, in Dagestan, Chechnya, Abkhazia, which is Georgia. So many interesting and important things to come. Thank you so much for being with me. I once again want to thank Philip and Rudy and Martin and Spencer and all the good people who spent this evening with me. Support NAFO campaigns, follow me on Instagram, X, Reds, Discord, and Blue Skies. I love our community there. Thank you so much, Rudy Aviation, for your support, for all the coffees, for all the comments, because I learn a lot from you. And I'm not saying, yeah, like my moderators, troll hunters, they know how attentive we are to all of your advice, questions, and they inspire me and they honestly make me stronger, because, well, under constant attack and all that Russian violence, you do feel down from time to time. But with your kind words, with your continued support, we definitely feel stronger. And I'm so grateful to have you in my life. And I also feel the need to protect you, because right now Russia is shaking the world. But it is an agony. It is shaking the world in the agony. And we will celebrate its defeat on this channel with some champagne or whatever you prefer. So do check the new video that will appear on the channel. And thank you so much for standing with Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!